with Katlyn, and we'll be discussing her career and learn a bit more about how she got involved in aviation and what her journey has been like. She's got a very interesting story, and I'm very curious to learn a lot more about what she does. I am particularly interested in the command side of things and stuff from the movies. I'm like, wow, I get to speak to someone who does real life stuff like this that we see in the movies. So hi Katlyn, so nice to have you with me here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you started in aviation.
Okay, I got into aviation actually when I decided at 25 years old to enlist in the United States Air Force. I actually Googled what were the best jobs to have in the military that transferred to the civilian section. And the number one was pilot, which due to my vision, I knew I couldn't get. And the second one was medical, which I was not going to do anything with that. And then the third was air traffic control. And I had no idea what that was. And so I Googled it and ended up YouTubing a few videos and found out what air traffic was and found out how challenging it was and how so many people attempt to become air traffic controllers, and thought it was such a cool and neat career field. And I went to my recruiter and said, I will only enlist in the Air Force if you give me an air traffic contract. And she was an awesome recruiter, and she said, since you're a little bit older than most people that try to enlist in the military, because I was 25 instead of like 17 or 18, she said, I trust that you know your limitations, so I will put you in an air traffic contract. So I did that for almost 10 years, active duty. And then the Federal Aviation Administration was hiring for air traffic controllers in the civilian side, and I decided to apply for that, and I got picked up. But since I had almost 10 years in the military, I did not want to walk away from, I was halfway to a retirement, halfway to a pension. But I wanted to do something a little bit different in the Air National Guard because I was already doing air traffic and what that was going to be my civilian job. I wanted to find something that was still in aviation because I love aviation, but was a different job. And that's when I found command and control battle management. It's 1 Charlie 5 is our AFSC, which is our Air Force specialty code. And basically what 1 Charlie 5s are is, in a very simple explanation, instead of keeping my planes separated like I do in air traffic, I actually put my planes together to do dogfights, air-to-air engagements. So I'm a surveillance tech, and we work with a lot of different entities and come up with this melded picture of what the enemy is doing on the ground via convoys, via troops, via hideouts, and what our planes are doing. And we are just this big, massive puzzle that works all together and helps target the enemy and helps get our fighter jets where they need to be. So.
Wow. So you are basically working with all international missions, and it's not just in the US?
No, it's primarily overseas. There are what we call WADs and EADs out here, and that's basically, in a very generalized term, that's our air protectors out here that are watching. That you can do that on the East Coast and the West Coast. So we do have those type of jobs stateside, but the majority and my unit's mission is overseas. So.
Wow, that's so interesting. It's so cool.
Yes.
So how is that compared to, like with the National Guard, compared to proper service in the military before? Air Force it was?
Yes, Air Force, yeah. I have really enjoyed my time in the National Guard because kind of in a way have a little bit more hands-on of how involved you want to be in that career, which I really like. So if your family is in a stage where you maybe need to stand back and stand down and not do as much in your unit, that's totally okay. And if you're in a place in your life where you can be a little bit more involved and you can take more orders, or you can go on more TDYs, or you can do more schoolhouses, then they're always for you. So I have really enjoyed it. It has given me, I actually just found out that I was selected to go today. I found out I was selected to go to another big exercise with my unit. So I'm super excited about that.
Wow.
And yeah, so I loved my time in active duty. I'm super thankful for my time in active duty. It's what gave me my amazing job in the FAA. But I really am enjoying my time with the Guard. I feel like I've had the best of both worlds.
Wow, it's amazing that you can do both at the same time as well.
Yes. Yeah. And my facility is very, they're almost all prior military air traffic controllers as well. So the biggest amount of people that work in the FAA are prior military controllers. So they have a respect for you continuing your military service, and they understand that call to service. So they always make sure they work with me to make sure that my drill dates and my annual training dates and any exercises I need to go to, that we can accommodate it. So.
Wow. So the transition from military to civilian is fairly easy for air traffic?
It is very easy. The training that we do, one of the really cool things, especially in the United States Air Force, is that the training that we go through when we are in the military active duty is the FAA approved training. Nice. So we get actually an FAA CTO, control tower operator. So it's exactly what we are doing. It's the same rules. We follow the same publications, the same regulations. You still have to start. Yeah, you still have to start all over, but that's for every facility. Every time as an air traffic controller, when you go to a new facility, you have to start training all over from day one, because every airfield's different, every airspace is different, all the frequencies are different. So you have to start over as far as, your training, but you have the basic knowledge and the root of your knowledge already from your training in the military. So it goes right over to the FAA.
Wow. And just one final question regarding the training. If you wanted to go into air traffic as a civilian without military side, how do you do that?
Yeah, so USAjobs.gov puts out FAA bids for off the street. It requires no prior air traffic experience whatsoever. You have to be, I believe, under 35 years old. You have to have good hearing, good eyesight, and be fluent in English. And you apply, and you have to go through a psychological screening, a drug test, a full class flight to medical clearance. And once you pass all that stuff, they will actually send you to the air traffic schoolhouse, the FAA air traffic schoolhouse, which is in OKC, Oklahoma City, and you'll go through the schoolhouse, and then when you graduate there, they'll actually send you to your first facility, wherever that may be. We actually have 3 people at my facility that were not air traffic in the military that did an off the streets bid for that. And there is college programs too. There are college courses for air traffic, which you can then use that to apply to the FAA off the streets bid and get picked up that way. So
lots of options.
Yes.
Oh, wow, sounds great. And how's the industry doing now in terms of jobs with COVID and the pandemic?
So air traffic, we always need people. That's the great thing about this job is we always need people. There's always going to be people that are retiring. There's always going to be people that have to get out for one reason or the other. And so we need air traffic controllers so bad, both in the military and in the FAA. So they are always hiring. I don't think I've ever known the FAA to not be hiring. I know my facility currently, we still need about 4 or 5 people to be maxed out out where we're supposed to be.
Right.
So it has, training has slowed down. So it is taking a little bit longer for people to get checked out in positions just because our traffic has slowed down. But as far as like hires, we will always need controllers. Air traffic is a very secure job, which is very nice to have during these days.
That's a very good plus, and for people looking for options, that's very stable.
Yes.
And you mentioned a little bit earlier about being the only female in your department.
I am the only female in my entire facility. So
facility.
Yes. Yeah, between management and all of the controllers, I am the only female. I think the last female that was at my facility was there about 2 to 3 years ago.
Wow. And what were the ratios like in the military?
The military, we had a few more. I think the max I've ever had in a facility are about maybe 4 to 5 females to 20 male coworkers. So, only 1 female, 2 females in a leadership role throughout my entire 10 years. So still very low.
Still some ceilings to crash.
Yeah.
Well, so, and how do you handle that? Being the only female or being, one of a few?
It's okay. The guys are really awesome. They're really respectful. They always make sure that I'm okay. So it's definitely nice. It is nice when you have another female there just to hang out with another female. But if there isn't one there, it's okay. And I love hearing on the radio females on the other side too. We have at my facility, we have 2 female instructors that are instructing a schoolhouse for people getting their pilot's license. And so I love keying up and hearing another female voice on the other side. So, but it is very, very rare. It is rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. Yeah, I'm a mechanic. By my trade was mechanic, and it's. Once in a while, I do get to work with females, but for the most part, I'm usually the only person in the facility, and you get used to it. And the guys are usually very nice, respectful, and they're perfect gentlemen for the most part.
Yeah. I get my own bathroom, so that's always a plus. I don't have to share it with anyone.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. I once had a situation where there was no female bathroom, so that was
no. That would be horrible.
Yes. So, but we've come a long way. But yes, and so the future of air transport, like with drones and all these things, FTOLs coming up, how's that looking?
It's looking fun. It's looking, they've been working, we have a new way to do ground clearances and stuff like that that's been out in the bigger airports for a little bit longer, where you can literally just drag and drop their clearance on a computer screen, and it sends it to the aircraft, and the pilot gets it right there, which is really awesome. And I know for a while they've been working on a 3-dimensional radar scope for our radar controllers to get a 3-dimensional look at their airspace. So it is really cool. As far as the stuff that we work with in 1 Charlie 5, it is very high tech. It was way more high tech than what I'm used to as air traffic. And I think so many people don't realize that air traffic, we use just basic radar because it's us as humans that are doing the majority of the job. And when I got into my unit, they just automatically thought, oh, well, your air traffic, it's so high tech. You just know how to use all this really great equipment. And it was no, I don't. I have no idea what this is. So there are some definite really cool technology things that are coming up that are going to help our jobs and help take a lot of that burden and be, a second safety net. I can say I hope they don't get rid of air traffic controllers, the human factor, but I don't think they will.
It's like autopilot, right? We still
The drones have been a very big issue. It's definitely something we're still having to get used to and still having to deal with, people that don't understand air traffic and they don't understand flying, and they get their drones too close, and that's because they want a cool picture or they want to watch, and they don't realize how negatively that can affect us. So that does get a little scary. And of course, most drone operators are not monitoring the frequency, so there's no way for us to get a hold of them, but we try our best with keeping our pilots safe and taking reports even from civilians around the airport, letting us know if they see drones or anything like that. So
Wow, pretty interesting. I suppose it's been getting a little bit better with as people get more knowledge, because I think initially people didn't realize, that, there are airspaces and there are restricted areas, and they just thought I can just fly my drone wherever I want.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, pretty cool. As we were talking, I was thinking that I'm setting up my ADS-B station at home. And so I'll be looking in on the airplanes, and I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's crazy how fast aviation is developing and our industry is developing with the technology that we're getting nowadays. So we always say this in air traffic, in 10 years, our job is going to look so different with just as far as the equipment that we're using, even stuff as small as like our lighting panels for our airport. When I first started, it used to be all or nothing. Everything had to be on. It had to be at, the brightness that was set. And nothing. And at the last airfield I worked on, we had this amazing touch screen where I could step up even just a specific taxiway's lights, brighter than the other, and just stuff like that makes our job so much easier, and the pilot's job so much easier, is coming along so fast. So
wow, sounds very, very interesting. And we've been chatting for a while. Any wise words for anyone looking to get into air traffic?
It is the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it is the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. Air traffic has not only given me a good job, it has taught me so many valuable lessons throughout the rest of my life. One of the things I always remind myself is that I can do hard things, and that comes from surviving air traffic training. And also just remember that the training is hard. It's supposed to be hard. And I think that there's this thing that happens, especially with women I've seen, which is if it doesn't come insanely natural to us, we just think that we're not supposed to do it, and it just isn't meant to be. And that's not the case. Sometimes you have to work hard at your dreams, and sometimes you have to give it a little bit more. But it is so worth it on the other side. And just don't compare your journey to anyone else's. I remember being in training and, having to learn my fighter jets, and these guys who have been playing like Call of Duty and knew what all these fighter jets were, just knew them right off the bat. And I had no idea what they were. And I just remember thinking, this job must not be for me. But I kept to it. And like I always say, your dreams don't work unless you do. So just keep working for your dreams and don't give up.
Yes. I remember when I started my training, we'd be standing outside, and then the guys would be like, that's a 737. Oh, that's a 767. And I'm like, how do they know?
Exactly. Yes. And it was so disheartening for me, because I just thought, well, if they're in the same stage I am in training, so if they know, I should know. And but that's not the case. Everyone's journey takes their own time, and everyone's journey is their own journey. So don't compare yourself, especially to guys that are playing Call of Duty and know these aircraft better than you.
Yes, and it's so easy to catch up. After a few years, you maybe even have a higher level than they do. Because you're going to be working so much harder than they are.
Yep, it's so true.
Yeah. Oh, and parting words. You mentioned your favorite statement. Work hard.
Yeah, your dreams don't work unless you do. So.
Wow.
That's my favorite one. Just because it reminds me, like I said, it doesn't have to come 100% easy. It doesn't have to be something that just comes to you so naturally. And as long as you want it and you put the time into it, you're going to get it. And that's my biggest piece of advice. Don't give up. Training is meant to be hard. I've had so many air traffic controllers that reach back to me during their training and say, I'm so beat down. This is so hard. And I say, don't, like, that's what it's supposed to be. You know, it's a high stress job. They're preparing you to work the worst of the worst situations. And it's really hard to see that when you're in training. It's really hard to see the method to the madness. But once you get to the other side and you're fully checked out and you're like, can like let that breath out and be like, oh, I can do this job. You'll realize why it was like that the whole time. So
sure, yeah. And nothing good comes easy, right?
Nothing.
All that more fulfilling when you know that I've worked so hard to get here. So
it really does. The badge that I wear on my chest in my military uniform that says I was an air traffic controller is still to this day one of the most proud things I have on my uniform. So.
Wow. Yes, and your picture, tell us about that. Was it a special event?
Yeah, I was actually graduating my 1 Charlie 5 tech school because I got when I got out of active duty and I transferred to the Air National Guard and I picked a different career field. I actually had to go back to tech school for my new job. So that was me graduating after making it through the course. I was, of course, the class leader because most of the kids that were coming and graduating were straight from basic training, and I was a cross trainee. So we all graduated together. We all finished together. And that was me graduating at Keesler Air Force Base at the schoolhouse. So. Wow.
Yeah, that's such amazing, awesome achievements. And if it was just for the uniform, I'd do it for the uniform.
Yeah, that uniform.
Yeah. Too. Yeah, so it's such amazing. You know, one thing I like about aviation is, you know, the experiences are so amazing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, you could be working at checkout at the airport or, you know, refueling at the airport, you know, on the ramp. It's just always so fulfilling. And
it is.
Yes, and thank you for sharing us your insights into air traffic. I've never talked to anyone in air traffic before, so yeah, it was really nice to know about the process, and we didn't talk a lot about the actual job, but at least we kind of know the journey that you've been and the journey that you need to take to get to be an air traffic controller. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed, and I'm wishing you all the best. I didn't ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years?
I will still be doing this. Air traffic has a mandatory retirement age at 56 years old from controlling planes. I cannot actually be talking to planes on the radio the day that I turn 56 years old. Yeah. They actually did a study a long time ago that says cognitively at 56 we start to decline, and our ability to control aircraft gets to a level that they are not comfortable. So we have to be, we can still be in the FAA. We can still be doing other things such as like administration jobs or management jobs. But I plan to control planes until 55 and 364 days old. That's my plan.
You love it.
And I hope to retire from that at the exact same time and retire from my military. By that point, I will have 22 years in the Federal Aviation Administration, and I'll have 32 years in military service. So that is my hope. So
wow. And then you're off to the beach
every day. And Disney World. Yep.
I love it. Wow. Yeah, when I read your story, I was like, I wish I'd been that clever.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I swear, I just got lucky. If I wouldn't have Googled that one thing, that one question, you know, because my dad was an Army vet. And so when I asked him questions about joining, that was the one thing he said, because my dad was a tank mechanic in the Army. And he said, just get a job you can do on the outside, because there's no one else owned tanks except for the military.
Yeah.
So when he got out, you know, he didn't really have a lot of job opportunities. So if it wasn't for that one piece of advice and me Googling what was a great job on the outside, just in case I didn't want to do 20 years in the military, I wouldn't be here. So I definitely got lucky with finding air traffic.
Thank you for sharing. That's like a great nugget. And I think it applies to a lot of aviation careers, you know, find something that you enjoy and hopefully that's transferable on the outside.
Well, and aviation is.
Yeah,
that's the great part of aviation.
And you make it transferable, you know, because our skills are very transferable and we just have to get out of this mindset that I can only fly planes or I can only fix aeroplanes. You know, you can fix planes, you can fix trains, you can fix hydraulic systems, you know, you can just take it wherever you want. So great advice there. And thank you so much for sharing. I think, I'm going to share this all over and hopefully get more women to follow air traffic careers.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.